Five international players are intervening to avert likely war between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Welcome to my views and news. Thanks for watching the channel. Five international players have started efforts to diffuse the tension between Eritrea and Ethiopia. They are sending messages to the two countries. They have sent their diplomats to talk to the two countries. Some talks have been held. We have details of these five players in this video. Firstly, was first player, international player, a global power, which is trying to avert war between Eritrea and Ethiopia is the US. US diplomatic intervention was confirmed yesterday when a senior US diplomat held a meeting with the Ethiopian Prime Minister in Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital, on Wednesday. Masad Bolos is the name of US senior advisor for Africa, and he held a meeting with Abiy Ahmed, the Ethiopian Prime Minister, in Addis Ababa. After the meeting, a statement was issued by Masad Bolos. The language of the statement indicates that the meeting was about tension between Eritrea and Ethiopia, though name of Eritrea is not mentioned in the statement issued by the US senior advisor for Africa. The US senior advisor, after having a meeting with the Ethiopian PM, said that he met with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. He reaffirmed enduring partnership between the US and Ethiopia. Importantly, Masad Bolas, US senior advisor for Africa, in the meeting with Ethiopian PM, emphasized importance of Ethiopian engagement with its neighbors. Who are Ethiopian neighbors? Eritrea, Somalia, Djibouti, Sudan, South Sudan, Kenya. These are Ethiopian neighbors. US wants engagement between Ethiopia and neighbors. Obviously, US is urging Ethiopia to talk to neighbors, to engage the neighbors for regional peace and stability. Either US is asking Ethiopia to engage groups in Sudan, RSF especially, so that RSF and Sudanese military could reach a deal and war could end there. Or US is telling Ethiopia that Ethiopia should talk to Eritrea. Outstanding issues should be solved through dialogue, not through the use of military force by Ethiopia. US senior advisor goes on to say in the statement that Ethiopia's role is important in fostering peace and regional stability, which is a key priority of the US President Donald Trump. The two discussed a range of commercial opportunities too. Which commercial opportunities? Ethiopia wants lifting of AGOA ban. It was removed from AGOA at the start of 2020. African Growth and Opportunity Act. Under this act, Ethiopian exports had duty-free access to US markets, but during Tigray war, US accused Ethiopian government of grave human rights abuses, and Ethiopia was removed from AGOA. Ethiopia was reinstatement. It wants reinstatement in AGOA. It wants obviously backing of financial institutions, direct uh, investment, and more aid from the US. All that Ethiopia wants. In return, US wants Ethiopia to engage neighbors. What is Donald Trump's priority, which was mentioned by a senior advisor for Africa, Masad Bolos, in his statement? Trump wants to be known as a deal maker, as peace broker, though under the nose of Donald Trump, backed by Donald Trump government, Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. I'm using this word genocide because a UN inquiry commission has said that genocide has been committed there. But still, US backs Israel. Grave human rights abuses. And now Palestinians of Gaza are being pushed out. They're being resettled in other countries. And this resettlement of Gaza people also came under discussions between the US senior advisor and the Ethiopian PM. US wants to resettle people of Gaza into several African countries. South Sudan is in talks with the US, but it does not publicly acknowledge. Somaliland has been willing to host Gaza deportees in return for recognition. Somalia is opposed. Somalia opposes the displacement of people of Gaza. Ethiopia never publicly opposed displacement of the people. I am not aware of such statement from Ethiopia opposing the displacement of people of Gaza, relocation of them from there to other countries. So US has sent a message to Ethiopian PM, I think, through Masad Bolas, that war is not acceptable. That if Ethiopia is considering waging war to gain sea access, that is not acceptable. Donald Trump, the US president, does not endorse that. It's a very strong message, by the way. Similar message was conveyed by the UK government to the Ethiopian government. It was revealed yesterday that David Lammy, UK foreign minister, talked to Gideon Timotheus, Ethiopian foreign minister, in August, and David Lammy, who was the UK foreign minister in August, now there is a new one, I think. He said in that talk with Gideon Timotheus that issue of sea access, commercial sea access, should be solved through dialogue. Any use of military force is unacceptable. UK respects territorial integrity and sovereignty of all countries. So, strong message sent by the UK to Ethiopian PM that use of military option unacceptable. Same is the case with the US position. US is also saying the same thing, that use of force by Ethiopia to gain access to Assad is unacceptable. EU representatives, UN representatives, and African Union people are also holding meetings reportedly. This is what I have learned, that these three organizations are holding meetings with both sides. Beniam Berhe, Eritrean Shogdi affairs in Ethiopia has been contacted. Several EU and UN officials have held meetings with Beniam Berhe in the last few days. African Union officials have also been meeting with him. So these European diplomats generally convey their messages to Isaias Afwerki through Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa. So both Ethiopia and Eritrea have been contacted. David Lammy contacted Eritrean side too in August, and he urged Eritrea to enter into talks with Ethiopia about the issue of sea access. He said dialogue should start. By the way, this is what Ethiopia wants. It wants Eritrea to come to the table to talk. Eritrea said there is nothing to talk. Why should we talk? You're pressurizing us to talk about a port which is our port. How can you pressurize us? So these Westerners, they are on the one hand calling for de-escalation. They're saying no to war. They're telling Ethiopia that if Ethiopia wages war, it won't be accepted. On the other hand, they're asking Eritrea to talk to Ethiopia. Why should Eritrea talk to Ethiopia? I mean, Eritrea is not bound to talk to Ethiopia at gunpoint. How can you force a country to talk to a neighbor about its port? Overall, we can say that Ethiopian PM is finding it difficult to get international support for his likely military campaign to invade Eritrea. At the same time, it could be a measured, smart approach by the Ethiopian Prime Minister. He is deliberately uh, adopting brinkmanship. I used this term several months ago, to last year maybe. Again, I would use the same term. Maybe he is practicing brinkmanship. He is gradually exerting pressure on Eritrea. He's flexing military muscles. Now he's involving Westerners. Westerners are telling Eritrea, Ethiopia is preparing for war, but we have told Ethiopia you cannot wage war on Eritrea. That is why Eritrea, you should talk to Ethiopia. Talk should happen. It could be a brinkmanship diplomacy strategy adopted by Ethiopia to put pressure upon Eritrea, to force Eritrea to come to the table to talk to Ethiopia. Thanks for watching.